The legislative agenda of the 10th House is the barometer to monitor and evaluate.
By raising our IGR from Parkinson overall,
where we at the National Office will focus on going to conclusion.
And as a child of God, as one who fear God,
the driver of our project.
We also like to know what the scheme is doing.
Independence Day is a very historic event in the...
It's a testimonial you need to acknowledge.
I want to know if there is any plan or program.
So it is only for Nigerians to doubt and go to the next level.
And to align the service, the price paid by consumers with the quality of service that they receive from the utilities. So the power outage reporting system will help us in a long way.
And there's many people inside. They are sleeping there, but they take some to hospital. They take them to hospital. Some are dead, some their head has break, some are their leg, everything. They have taken them to hospital.
I'm not an abode for crime and criminals. My ancestral home was a forest, a thick Penkonkon mountain for safety from arrest, a home for hunting and farming in times of hunger and famine.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing where we can support the new House of Assembly and your agenda.
Join us next week, same time, same station. Your host, Folashade Abdusalam. Bye for now.
The legislative agenda of the 10th House is the barometer to monitor and evaluate.
Good evening, viewers. I welcome you to another edition of your favorite program, Abuja Weekly Fire. I'm Folashade Abdusalami, your host. From Abuja this week, we will bring to your viewing a review of some major developments in the three arms of government: the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. Also coming your way are reports from the various security agencies, the political arena, non-governmental organizations, and social events. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday night left the country for Saudi Arabia, where the Arab African Summit was slated to hold. Tinubu departed the country as after signing the 2.17 trillion 2023 supplementary budget as approved by the National Assembly. The National Assembly is talking tough this time, as the federal lawmakers have called on President Tinubu to remove heads of federal government ministries, departments, and agencies who fail to attend the ongoing interactive session on the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The federal government is set to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Algeria Civil Aviation Authority for the reopening of the Algeria-Nigeria route via the Lagos and Abuja airports. Details of this and other interesting developments are in the lineup for your viewing. We'll be back shortly. Please stay tuned.
President Bola Tinubu has said that accurate population data is key to effective delivery of public services to Nigerians. The president made this assertion on Wednesday at the launch of the Digital Civic Registration and Vital Statistics System and the National Geospatial Data Repository held at the State House, Abuja. While noting that Nigerians' population remains its greatest asset, the president said the role of the National Population Commission was critical to effective delivery of public services to Nigerians. President Tinubu pledged government support for technology initiative, noting the importance of the CRVS could play a vital role in identity data access across federal agencies like the NIMC, NIS, Road Safety, INEC, Police, EFCC, and other security agencies.
It is hope that the current drive to reposition this vital registration system will provide the basis for 100% attainment of our year 2030 SDG targets in respect of real-time identity management and population data. Coming at this time the Commission has made substantial progress in quest to deliver the first digital population and housing census. It is my hope the result of the census will provide the nation with much needed data for development planning and the enthronement of good governance.
Earlier, the chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Issa Kwara, gave an insight into the system, saying electronic tool registrations on vital services will change the narrative on the registration of civic events, especially birth and death records. This, he said, would help build a better future for the nation. He added that the objective of the project is to improve data capturing, collation, processing, dissemination, and vital statistics in the country.
It marks a major milestone in the journey towards the introduction of a new electronic civil registration and vital statistics system. It provides us with the unique opportunity to change the narrative on the registration of civil events, especially birth and death, so that together we can build a better future for our dear country, Nigeria.
While applauding the initiative, UNICEF country representatives Kristen Maduit called for the transformation of health facilities and community outreach programs into vibrant registration points. This, she said, will promote accurate registration of births, deaths, and marriages in Nigeria.
UNICEF remains steadfast in its support to the federal government of Nigeria's endeavor to build a sustainable civil registration and vital statistics system. We are committed to providing technical assistance in establishing the necessary requirements for the successful compilation and processing of data.
Meanwhile, a total of 20 federal commissioners in the National Population Commission had been inaugurated. 9 of them were reappointed for the second tenure. At the inauguration, the president charged the new and returning NPC commissioners to successfully implement all the measures taken by the administration to produce and effectively appropriate accurate population data with which lasting solutions to Nigerian socio-economic challenges can be conclusively developed and executed. President Tinubu has signed the 2023 supplementary budget of 2.17 trillion. The government said the supplementary budget became necessary to accommodate additional palliative measures, including wage awards. Present at the brief signing ceremony at the presidential villa were Senate President Godswill Akpabio, House of Reps Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Others were the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Services, Zach Adedeji, among others. Vice President Kashim Shettima has reiterated President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment towards the overall development of the Niger Delta region as well as other parts of the country. Shettima, who represented President Tinubu on Wednesday at the grand finale of All Progressive Congress gubernatorial rally in Bayelsa State, ahead of yesterday's governorship in the state, noted that Bayelsa, like every other state in Nigeria, remained dear to the vision and developmental focus of the Tinubu administration. The vice president hinted at a holistic plan for the development of the Niger Delta and all parts of Nigeria in terms of infrastructure, technology, education, and harnessing of the bountiful resources. Also speaking at the event, the national chairman of the APC, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, described the party's governorship candidate, Timi Silva, as a refined technocrat and politician who is committed to transforming the defining and political, economic and developmental landscape of Bayelsa State. The APC candidate, Silva, said his governance blueprint is meticulously tailored towards total revamping of the fortunes of Bayelsa State. Silva, who pledged transparent utilization of resources of the state if elected, said every part of the state will witness a transformation never imagined before. He pledged to encourage participation of indigenous communities in governance. In the health sector, President Tinubu has approved the appointment of Dr. Abdul Mukhtar as National Coordinator of the Presidential Unlocking Healthcare Value Chain Initiative, which is domiciled under the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. This was made known in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngilale. The presidency said it's targeting billions of dollars of new investments in the nation's healthcare delivery system through a time-bound and cross-ministerial collaboration. The initiative aims to restructure the ecosystem of health product manufacturing, health logistics services, health technology services, health retail services, health provider facilitation, and health payee reform, third-party administrator, and insurers. President Tinubu charged the appointee to bring his vast experience in the health sector to bear on his new assignments. Similarly, the president also approved the appointment of Mr. Mohammed Abba Issa as Senior Special Assistant to the President on Disability Matters from the upper chamber of the National Assembly. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has called on President Bola Tinubu to remove heads of federal government ministries, departments, and agencies who fail to attend ongoing interactive sessions on the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The Senate President made the call at the opening of a 5-day public hearing on the 2024 to 2026 Mitv and SFP put together by the Senate Joint Committee on Finance Appropriation, National Planning and Economic Affairs, Local Content and Foreign Debt. Akpabio decried observed frivolous expenditures by MDAs, particularly government-owned enterprises. The Senate President set legislative agenda for reduction of budget deficits, increased revenue generation, and blocking of leakages. While acknowledging current economic reality, Senator Akpabio said borrowing can only be regulated but cannot be totally avoided.
When we have the consolidated revenue accounts, as expected, that all funds should go to the consolidated revenue account, and they ought to be appropriated for. Just bill and keep, bill and spend, maybe a good idea. There are some government-owned agencies that are allowed by the extant regulations, which cannot override constitutional provision to bill and spend, and then return what they like to the consolidated revenue account. We as the Senate and as the 10th Assembly, to myself as chairman of the National Assembly of the 10th Assembly, we look into those things, look into those legislations and see where they tend to conflict with the Constitution. It's a ground norm.
The chairman Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sonny Musa, had earlier said the 2024 to 2026 Mitv and FSP documents represent a critical roadmap that will chart the course for the nation's economy and finance from 2024 to 2026. The committee vowed to block revenue leakages and curtail frivolous expenditure by MDAs.
investigative hearing on the remittance of all revenue-generating agencies of government to the consolidated revenue account of the Federation, as well as the payment of the first stamp duty, 1% stamp duty on all contracts executed in all MDAs. I want to assure you that the 10th National Assembly will carry on with the investigation targeted at blocking revenue leakages, curtailing frivolous expenditures by MDAs, and also we will be doing this to boost the revenues of the government in the face of dwindling revenues from traditional revenue source of crude oil.
The Senate has resolved to facilitate the inclusion of the dredging of rivers Benue and Niger and other river-related projects in the 2024 appropriation bill. At an emergency session on Monday, the upper legislative chamber said the plan will help combat recurring flooding and its effect on the country. The Senate also requested President Tinubu to facilitate the construction of the Dasin Hausa Dam in Fufore local government area of Adamawa State to prevent excessive flooding from the Ladgo Dam in Cameroon. The resolutions followed a motion moved by Senator Abbas Iya, representing Adamawa Central, during the emergency plenary. Senator Iya had expressed concern over the perennial flooding around River Benue, which has led to loss of life, displacement of people, destruction of farmlands, as well as strengthening food security. He requested the Senate leadership to urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to assist victims of flooding in the country.
Further disturbed that the result of the flood by the River Benue on Wednesday, 1st of November 2023, 32 people were on board trying to cross the river at Garin Alaji near Chikito village, where the boat capsized, but only 7 bodies were recovered and 5 people rescued alive. The remaining are still unaccounted for up to now. In addition to the earlier reported cases where 53 people lost their lives in the same river. Regards the perennial flood by River Benue and attendant consequences of loss of lives, displacement of people, and destruction of farmlands, threatening food security, will continue if urgent actions is not taken to address the situation that apparently threatens the realization of primary purpose of government. Accordingly, resolve to 1. Facilitate the inclusion of the dredging of River Benue project in 2024 appropriation bill to address the perennial flooding and the multidimensional consequences.
Majority of the senators emphasized the urgency of taking necessary actions to facilitate year-round agricultural activity. The lawmakers noted that River Benue is an international river that originates from northern Cameroon and flows into Nigeria through Jimeta in Adamawa State, Ibin in Taraba State, and Makurdi in Benue State before forming a confluence in River Niger in Lokoja.
For those of us who are living with the consequences of flooding every year, we cannot but support a motion like this and sympathize with fellow Nigerians who share in this plight every year. River Niger and River Basin are upland, but all the water that we are complaining about flows through, yes, through the Niger Delta to the Atlantic. So it's a major issue. It's a major issue, and we are all united that this country gets it right, not in bits and pieces, but we should advance that resolution so that the waters flowing through the tributaries of the River Niger and the Benue flowing through the Niger Delta, all the rivers, River Focados, River Non, River Kwaibo, all the states are affected in the Niger Delta. So I will, while seconding this motion, Mr. President, remind us to advance and fast-track the earlier resolution that our joint committees should organize the national summit so that we can have a proposal, because there has to be more than one dam.
The Senate has expressed concern over methods employed by the Federal Civil Service Commission in the recruitment and deployment of officers in the Federal Civil Service. The concern was through a motion by Senator Zach Tatenga. The senator stressed on the need to uphold the federal character principle, curb lopsidedness and emerging infractions in the recruitment and deployment of officers by the Commission and related agencies. Senator Tatenga condemned the Service Commission for employing workers through illegal method instead of advertising the vacancies as prescribed by the law.
The problem of illegal employment in the Federal Civil Service. Speaking on this issue with journalists in July, ahead of 2023 Civil Service Week, the head of Service of the Federation, Dr. announced that the federal government has discovered about 1,618 civil servants with fake employment letters. Following the talk that whereas introduction of IPPIS was meant to curtail and ultimately eliminate illegalities in the civil service in terms of human resource and payroll management.
Other senators cautioned that if not urgently addressed, abuse of the federal character principle could weaken cohesion in the civil service, with its attendant damage to governance and service delivery.
That are underrepresented in different NDAs because they don't know one or two persons in high position that will hire them. And so we must take this motion very seriously to bring sanity to the process so that at least our citizens can feel a sense of belonging to the country Nigeria in employment, so that at least this teeming population of Nigerians who are very qualified and have been seeking for employment can at least be employed.
The Senate subsequently mandated its Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to carry out a holistic investigation into the matter and come up with appropriate recommendations.
That the three committees of the Nigerian Senate should jointly investigate this matter and revert to the Senate within 2 weeks. Those who support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate has initiated a move to probe alleged unwholesome practice by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. The upper chamber said the move will check cases of undisclosed admissions and other unwholesome practices by JAMB and the universities, particularly the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. A motion sponsored by Ebonyi North Senator Peter Nwaboyin at plenary on Wednesday led to the debate.
Worried that the provisional admission practice is being used as a malicious tool to exploit and frustrate intelligent young Nigerians who are children and wards of ordinary Nigerians. Also worried by the fact that these children who make good grades in the UTME and been made to pay the necessary fees undergo rigorous processes of registration, matriculation, resume lectures, and sometimes even semester exams, only to be transferred to other less competitive courses by the university, conniving with JAMB officials without plausible reasons, thereby destroying their career.
And motion that weighty allegations have been made And I do not think, Mr. President, that this is the best way for us to review and look at this motion. So I would rather suggest that because we know JAM, we know the universities, that the best thing will have been that this motion will be sent to either the Committee on Higher Education or the Committee on Public Petitions, so that all the different institutions mentioned in this motion will be invited, because fair hearing.
Let us invite officials of the University of Nigeria and Nsukka and JAMB to look at the veracity of this claim that 290 students were left wandering about in the university campus after staying for maybe 1 year or 2 years. I have heard stories of people staying in the university for 4 years without even graduating with a degree, based on discrepancies in the admission policy. Some will come in to read law, finish their program. They will now say that they didn't meet the requirements for admission, and they will be axed out of the university. This thing should not be part of our educational system.
The Senate eventually referred the matter to its Committee on Public Petition and Tertiary Institutions for further legislative action. The committees were mandated to invite the management of JAMB, the UNN, as well as the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, to shed light on the undisclosed admission phenomenon and report back in 2 weeks.
Urge the federal government to immortalize him by naming a higher institution after him. Specifically, Federal College of Education, Okene. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
In another development, the Senate has urged the federal government to immortalize the late Ohinoi of Ebrea land, Dr. Abdurrahman Ado Ibrahim, by naming the Federal College of Education Okene after him. This followed a motion by Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduanga, representing Kogi Central Senatorial District. The late monarch, who was a former vice president of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, died on October 29 in an Abuja hospital where he had been receiving treatment for age-related ailments. He has since been buried in line with Islamic rites.
And the Senate regrets that his demise is a great loss to his family, the Ibira clan, Kogi State in particular, and Nigeria in general. The Senate accordingly resolves to observe a minute's silence in his honor, send a condolence letter to commiserate with the family, the good people of Ibira land, and urge the federal government to immortalize him by naming the Federal College of Education after him.
Commiserated with the people of Ibira land over the death of the foremost traditional ruler. A minute silence was also observed in his honor.
So I join you and all Kokais and all Nigerians and those who related with him closely to wish that God accepts his soul and his soul will rest in peace. Can we rise for a minute silence?
Away from the National Assembly, the Department of State Services has urged parties and stakeholders in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states to maintain peace after yesterday's governorship elections in the 3 states. The service, in a statement by its spokesman, Peter Afunaya, urged parties to play by the rules and promote dialogue towards a stronger and more secured future. The DSS reiterated its earlier warning that individuals or groups involved in acts inimical to public order will be decisively dealt with in accordance with the law.
Expect reports from the various House of Reps committee on the Mitv SFP 2024 to 2026 and related events. Our correspondent Linda Ike will be serving you on that.
The House Committee on Army has assured its commitment to ensure the Nigerian Army is placed on a pedestal to tackle the challenges of insecurity in the country. Chairman of the committee, Abdullahi Mahmudu, gave the assurance at the inauguration of the committee on Tuesday. Mahmudu said the committee has developed a 4-year work plan that will be judiciously followed within specific periods in order to achieve its mandate.
The scope of the committee activities also include oversight of the Nigerian Army recruitment exercise. Honorable members, as you are aware, legislature is the only institution that
it will map out strategies and policies that are necessary to safeguard the nation's financial system and uphold the rule of law.
As we move forward in our mission, I have full confidence that our combined efforts will continue to make a profound impact on our society. Today, we will ensure that those who engage in financial crimes and criminalities are held accountable and brought to justice.
The committee's agenda is to ensure Nigerian roads are improved.
We are going to shift from our usual convention and partner with FEMA to make it FEMA that we all dream for this 10th National Assembly. Together, we will work together towards achieving the purpose of improving our road maintenance and efficiency in Nigeria. We will use instruments of effective legislation, oversight, partnership, knowledge sharing, collaboration, and adherence to best global practices to revitalize, reposition, re-engineer, and rebirth FEMA, ushering in a new era of improved road maintenance and efficiency for Nigeria as a nation.
Also, Chairman House Committee on Renewable Energy, Afam Ogene, says Nigeria must increase investment in renewable energy for a sustainable environment. Ogene made the recommendation at the inaugural meeting of the committee on Wednesday. He said the global quest for a safer, sustainable and renewable energy is an indication that Nigerians have agreed on the need for a new narratives. According to him, records, research and science have all shown that fossil fuels are one of such friendly enemies of mankind.
Scientists and experts have predicted that we will deplete the Earth's fossil fuel reserves in as few as 50 years. So investing now in renewable energy is one way to ensure a cleaner, greener and more sustainable future. And with the fast dwindling global fossil fuel reserve and the increasing danger associated with it, especially as regards its impact on the environment and climate change, renewable energy is the future, and Nigeria must step up and be more intentional in investing in the renewable energy sector and associated technologies. This, honorable colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, is why
NIST internship program on legislative drafting is an initiative designed to provide interns with the requisite knowledge and skills in legislative drafting to enhance their capacity and equip them to contribute to the drafting of laws and other legislative instruments. Suleiman said the training is important to legislative drafting, noting that it is a very specified area of law that is not taught as a regular course in the institutions of learning. He added that the initiative is NIST's commitment to bridge the gap in the acute shortage of legislative drafters in the country.
This initiative is based on the commitment of our institute to bridge the gap in the acute shortage of legislative drafters in the country and indeed in West Africa, despite the increasing demand for the services of legislative drafters across the nation and subnational levels. The lucky participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to inform you that this internship initiative is the first of its kind to be organized by any African parliament, and therefore Nigeria is seen to be taking the lead and hopes that other parliaments will follow suit. It is also my pleasure to inform you that the leadership of the 10th National Assembly have reiterated its commitment in sustaining this laudable initiative, considering the gains and potential it will have in consolidating and strengthening our legislative institution.
Business news. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation (NDIC) has secured first position in the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) 2023 Ethics and Integrity Compliance Scorecard (EICS). This is as the corporation once again demonstrated the unwavering commitment to high ethical standards and compliance with anti-corruption laws and regulations. In a statement issued by its Director, Communication and Public Affairs, Bashiri Nuhu, the remarkable achievement marks the second time that NDIC has achieved the first place finish, having been previously ranked first in the 2021 EICS. The ICPC EICS is an annual assessment tool designed to evaluate ministries, departments, and agencies (MDAs) in Nigeria for their adherence to institutional ethics and integrity requirements. Also, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has signed a Green Economy and Energy Development Partnership Agreement with the Niger State Government. The agreement, according to a statement, is the first of its kind for the development of 4 unique projects, which include a greenfield hydroelectric power project, mega solar parks and instruments, and home solar system for 250 households out of 800,000 households in Niger State, among other projects. It also stated that NNPCL plans to plant 135 million on 100,000 hectares of land as part of its commitment to climate protection and carbon sequestration towards the 2023 net zero targets. Linda Ike, MITV News, Abuja.
A cheering one there for Nigerian universities and other tertiary institutions
has expressed its readiness to partner with Rural Electrification Agency to ensure uninterrupted power supply in universities and other tertiary institutions in the country. The Executive Secretary of PEDFund, Architect Sonny Echono, made this known during a courtesy visit to his office by the Managing Director of RIA, Elihijo Ahmed, on Tuesday in Abuja. Echono commended the Energizing Education Program being implemented by RIA in selected universities and teaching hospitals across the country, said the importance of steady power supply in tertiary institutions cannot be overemphasized, while calling on RIA to revamp the project in some of the beneficiary institutions that have encountered challenges with the Education Energizing Program. Echono said TEDFund would explore the possibility of getting longer-term financial from African Development Bank for subsequent edition of the scheme.
So you can get long-term finance at affordable interest rates. It will enable us to do more, and then we can provide guarantees. I know some of the instruments we have sufficient liquidity to defray cash costs, and it will be easier for us to absorb and take it wholly by ourselves. Of course, there's also the corruption. I think the federal government has done it before, but I think we all sit together and work out an arrangement where it will be a specific intervention of the federal government. We can't achieve any of the objectives we set out for ourselves in the education sphere if we cannot at least guarantee on our campuses that specific and key infrastructure have constant supply of power. And the partnership with you will help us accelerate that process so that Nigerians will know that we are determined to solve this challenge of power. And we will do everything that is possible for us to do so as quickly as possible.
Earlier, the Managing Director of RIA, Elijo, said the Energizing Education Program is aimed at providing sustainable and clean power supply to 37 federal universities and seven university teaching hospitals across Nigeria. While saying the program have already commenced in 24 universities and selected teaching hospitals, a leader called for cooperative of third fund to ensure the total success of the scheme.
So federal government had incidentally approved up to 37 federal universities. We've been able to cater for up to 24 of them, either from the public budget that we have on a yearly basis, or from two very critical international development partners, being the World Bank and the African Development Bank. But unfortunately, we have not had too much traction, but we believe that it's so important that we have to continue to present it to you so that we can see how we can continue to work together. BUK, this is BUK that was commissioned sometime September 2019, where 7.5 kilometers of street lights. This project has been concluded, albeit as I mentioned later on in the slides, this has also come with a few challenges.
Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Igbetoku has ordered the restriction of vehicular movement in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State during the governorship elections scheduled to hold on Saturday. Addressing newsmen in Abuja, the first public relations officer, ACP Muyiwa Adejobi, said the restriction will be effective from 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday in the three states. The police and the other security agencies, however, warned that no form of electoral violence in the November off-cycle governorship election in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State will be tolerated.
While emphasizing with well-meaning residents of the affected states on the inconveniences the restrictions may cause, the IGP urges all active electors to be law-abiding and turn out en masse to exercise their franchise. He, however, warns that the force will deal decisively with any individuals or groups that might want to test our common resolve and might to ensure a peaceful election.
Ahead of the Saturday off-cycle gubernatorial election in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states, the defense headquarters has raised alarm over plots by some unnamed elements to disguise in the military gear to disrupt the exercise in some areas. Speaking at the bi-weekly briefing on the activities of the troops of the Armed Forces of Nigeria and other security agencies in the various theaters of operation across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, assures that the military would deal decisively with some elements in national interest. On the operations of the troops, Major General Buba declares that the armed forces will continue to exert military pressure on groups that seek to derail any progress towards peace and security in the country. The director added that the operations of the last 1 week resulted in the neutralization of 113 terrorists and 300 of them arrested, including the arrest of 25 perpetrators of oil thefts, among others.
We have elections coming up in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi State this weekend. Election is serious business, and the military is giving it the seriousness that it deserves. So much is being put in place. Troops, platforms are being moved to those locations to reinforce security that is already in place in those states. We are aware of plans of some to disguise in military uniform in order to create problems during the elections. I say to them, beware of the injurious consequences of that plan.
The federal government is set to sign a memorandum of understanding with Algeria Civil Aviation Authority to reopen routes from Algeria to both Lagos and Abuja airports. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Management, Festus Keyamo, disclosed this after a closed-door meeting with delegates from Algeria at his office in Abuja. Keyamo stated that Nigeria always have bilateral relations with Algeria and have been existing for some time, but there is no specific bilateral agreement which the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will key into through bureaucratic processes. He further pledged that prompt intervention to the sign of the Memorandum of Understanding will aid the stress Nigerians undergo while traveling to Algeria and other neighboring countries close to Algeria.
Today, they are here with a memorandum of understanding specifying that, of course, in the spirit of opening up the skies in Africa, they want to add Abuja. They want to add Abuja to that route. And they're also giving us their second largest city in Algeria for us to also, in the spirit of reciprocity, for us to fly, our local airlines to fly into that city.
Also speaking, the ambassador of Algeria to Nigeria, Oilali, said the bilateral relations help the country to restart the dynamic of cooperation of the partnership between the two countries.
We respect the Nigerian people and our high authority, the President Abdel Fattah, and all our government is engaged in this dynamic of developing the partnership between the two countries in all fields. But you can't develop partnership if you haven't direct flights between the two countries. Because the cost of flight is really hindering the dynamic used by our authorities. And today we are trying to solve this problem of flight.
Marian Inahimion, MITV News, Abuja.
The last but not the least are reports from Funke Adebayo with tidbits from activities in the judiciary, politics and more.
The Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has hinted on his plans to contest in the 2027 presidential election. Obi gave this hint while fielding questions from newsmen at a World Press Conference in Abuja. He, however, criticized the Supreme Court on its ruling to affirm President Bola Tinubu's election. Obi noted that the Supreme Court's judgment broke the confidence Nigerians have in the judiciary. The Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, while applauding the Nigerian youth for their support during the 2023 presidential election, noted that the judgment marks the end of his search for justice over the conduct of the 2023 presidential election.
Energy and dedication of Nigerian youth and obedient movement have been simply amazing. I appreciate and salute them. I want to assure them that this is not the end of our journey, but in fact, the beginning. Nigerians heard you, the world have taken note, and will not forget easily. We shall endure, persist, until we reach our destination, because the new Nigeria is our destination. A destination is not an event.
Also on politics, ahead of the governorship off-cycle election in Kogi, Bayelsa and Imo State, the People's Democratic Party has said the party would not accept any result that is inconsistent with the will of the people, as expressed in the polling units. The National Publicity Secretary Debo Olugunagba disclosed this on Tuesday while addressing journalists at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja. Olugunagba expressed confidence in the party's victory in each state at the November polls, adding that the people under the leadership of the APC governors in Kogi and Imo State have suffered neglect, especially in Imo State where the sitting governor has allegedly promoted violence and insecurity over the years. The party also called for the removal of the Imo State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Silva Agu, for allegedly being compromised to manipulate November 11 governorship election in Imo State in favor of the All Progressive Congress.
Imo people are ready.
The shenanigans, the threat will not matter to the people. And we as a party, I think this is very clear, we as a party, PDP, will not be cowed, we will not be threatened. The people of Imo State have expressed that they will vote. And in any event, and this is very important for the whole world to know, we have trained our agents and our people very well. They understand the rules of the game for election. They are determined to ensure that their votes count and they will be counted. And not only that, after voting, they will stay at the polling units. They will be there until the votes are counted, and we all will have we have our machinery in place to ensure that the votes from the units, that we all know it.
Meanwhile, scores of women activists from across Nigeria have demanded justice for Khadijat Yahaya, who was allegedly killed by thugs said to be working for the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party in Kogi State, Muritala Yakubu. The activists, who represent different women groups, made their demand on Tuesday during a peaceful protest in Abuja. Co-convener Women Standing Together Barrister Peregbe Ekpede, while addressing newsmen shortly after the protest, complained that after about 2 months of the sad incident, Khadija's killers were still walking the streets free, while nothing had been said about the police investigation into the matter or arrests of culprits, hence the basis for the protest. The women therefore appealed to President Bola Tinubu and the Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun to intervene directly to get justice for the late Khadijat by arresting, prosecuting and sentencing accordingly those associated with her killer, no matter how highly placed.
This protest has become necessary due to the fact that about 2 months after this innocent poor lady was gunned down by armed thugs allegedly suspected to be thugs in the convoy of the Kogi State SDP candidate, Mr. Moritala Ajaka, those who killed this lady are still walking the street free as if it's just a goat that has been killed. We cannot have a society where anybody can just take the life of another without consequences. I am a lawyer and activist of many years standing. We have laws guiding assault and murder with clear consequences prescribed by those crimes in our statute books.
An election observer group, Yaga Africa, called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure that the operational shortcomings in previous elections are properly addressed in the Saturday's off-cycle governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states. The board member, Yaga Africa Ezenwa Nwagu, made the call on Friday while addressing newsmen during a pre-election conference in Abuja. Nwagu stated that the commitment of INEC, security agencies and other stakeholders must restore public confidence in the November 11 polls, adding that election officers must be individuals of proven integrity and impeccable character to ensure transparency in the process.
Independent National Electoral Commission, security agencies and the executive to restore public confidence in the electoral process will be tested again in Saturday's polls. As the pre-election climate in this state suggests, there are high-stake elections with the potential for violence. Nigerians in these three states desire a safe environment to cast their ballot without violence, suppression, or intimidation. As these voters proceed to the polls, they expect timely deployment of election materials, early commencement of accreditation and voting, and transparent counting and collation of results to ensure the outcome reflects the will of the people.
Yaga, however, urged voters to resist efforts to purchase their vote, turn out in their numbers, and vote according to their preferences at the polls.
Funke Adebayo,
MITV News.
This is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Abuja Weekly File. Join us again next week for another interesting package. Same time, same station. I remain your host, Folashade Abdusalami, MITV. Bye for now.
Hello viewers, I welcome you to